All right. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and very good morning to all of you. Hoping that you guys in a good health, right? So wherever you are, today we need to continue our class on Way ANOVA. All right. So the words or the terms ANOVA itself comes from analysis of variance. Okay, as you could see here, this one. Analysis of variance. So in short, we call it as ANOVA. Okay. And if you recap our last class, we have learned about independent sample t-test that I really emphasize to you, right? So I will explain a little bit what is the differences between those two, the independent sample t-test and also this ANOVA, because both of these analyses we use to compare the means, right? So let's take a look. The introduction first. Now, for the ANOVA, okay, analysis of variance is commonly used to measure changes. Okay, we use ANOVA to measure the changes that occur in the DV, okay, dependent variable, which would manipulate the IV. Okay, so how the DV manipulate the IV, we measure the changes, okay, in terms of the mean, the comparison of mean. All right. So one way independent, so one way ANOVA lah. One way ANOVA, analyze data involving, this is very important. You need to remember that ANOVA, one way ANOVA, we use one way ANOVA or we implement one way ANOVA when it is involved with one dependent variable that in terms of interval or ratio scale, and another one independent variable that it is in nominal scale, okay, consisting three or more categories, meaning that this IV consists of three or more categories. Okay, if you still remember, I think I will show you a blank. Wait up. I'll show you a blank space here so that you will see. Just to explain to you. Okay. If you remember that our previous class, I said that we can compare the means, right? Okay. So in our previous class, we have learned about independent sample t-test. Independent sample t-test analysis. Okay. So you have analyze the data. For example, last class we have analyzed the data between the DV and IV, which is the dependent variable is stress level, if I'm not mistaken, stress level. And the IV, we have used gender, right? You still remember gender, we have male and female, right? So this one, it is in ratio scale, right? Ratio scale, which is we use the Likert scale, if you still remember. And this both of male and female under gender, it is nominal scale, but only two groups. This is very important. Only two groups. The group one is male, group two is female. Okay, so this is where we need to use independent sample t-test. Okay, what if you're using one-way ANOVA analysis? Okay, one-way ANOVA analysis. We need to use this analysis where you have DV and IV, which your DV should be in the same ratio scale or interval, and your IV the same, you need to have in nominal scale, but the group in nominal scale for IV should be 3 or more groups. Okay, so whenever you see your data for IV, you're comparing the means. Remember, you're comparing the means and you're confused whether you want to decide it is independent sample t-test or one-way ANOVA. You look at the IV. If the IV only consists only two groups, for example, gender, male and female, so you use independent sample t-test. Okay, but if your IV consists of at least three, three or more groups, you need to use one-way ANOVA. The difference here you could see only on the IV, isn't it? Which is IV for independent 2 groups, IV for one-way ANOVA 3 groups. That is all the differences, right? So usually my students, they confused between whether they want to use independent sample t-test or one-way ANOVA. The difference you could see from the IV itself. Okay, now we go back to the notes. We go back to the notes. Okay, so we have done the second point, the first point done. Okay, the third point, this one, I think this one I will let you guys read it by your own and make it as an activity. Okay, because if I spoon feed you all the notes here, you would not read one-way repeated measures ANOVA. So this one, read by your own afterwards and do the analysis by your own regarding the guideline given in this notes. Already given the one-by-one step how to analyze your data using one-way repeated measure ANOVA. But today I just want to focus on one-way ANOVA only. Okay. All right. So let's take a look on the next one. All right. So one-way ANOVA here, just like I said, we have the first and the second one. The second one, I let you to carry out the activity by independent learning. You learn by yourself here, revise, do the notes, do the analysis by your own. Okay, I will ask next class, how do you analyze? All right, take your own time lah. Okay, so for the first, for the first one here, one-way ANOVA. Just like I said to you, you have one DV, one IV, right? And your IV should be 3 or more groups or more categories. Okay, then you can use one-way ANOVA, right? Now, nothing special here, just to recap what I have told you just previously. All right. So, we're still under the introduction here. There are 3 factors. Okay, 3 factors. The selection of appropriate statistical tests for making comparison depends on 3 factors. So 3 factors here are measurement scale, okay, number of groups to be compared, whether 2 or 3 or more, the relationship exists between them. This is all that you could see from the result afterwards. Okay. So the measurement scales dependent variable, for example, you have interval or ratio scale. So number of groups, okay, number of groups, which is the IV. Okay, it depends on your IV. The measurement scale is the DV lah. Okay. For example, your IV, you have you should be in nominal data. Remember, you should be in nominal data, at least 3 or more. Right? 3 or more. So for example, here you have ethnicities. Okay, ethnicities, you have 4 groups: Malay, Chinese, Kadazan, Dusun, and others, for example. Okay, so this for the bottom one here, bottom one, if you have 3 categories, okay. So example is maybe you have life satisfaction pre-test, life satisfaction post-test 1, life satisfaction post-test 2. Okay, it's quite the same, but the difference is pre-test, post-test 1, post-test 2. Okay, how about the top one here? Okay, the top one here, you could see you will use the statistical test of one-way ANOVA. One-way ANOVA. Okay, so the difference with the bottom here, you have life satisfaction, pre-test, post-test 1, post-test 2. So this one you could use one-way repeated measures for life satisfaction. Okay, repeated measures ANOVA. So this is example for you to look at if you have this kind of DV and IV. So this is the statistical test that you will use. Okay. So for the purpose of hypothesis testing, remember all the analysis that we have learned in this class. Okay, we have focused on the analysis that uh, to analyze or to prove the hypothesis or to test the hypothesis. Okay, remember that you will have the hypothesis and you need to test it. The one that I have mentioned about the null hypothesis, the alternative hypothesis in your study, right? And what kind of analysis that you will use. So it should be related with the hypothesis testing. So the hypothesis testing, the statistical test used should be appropriate for the measurement scales and the study's objective. Okay, for example, you have the research hypothesis here. There is no difference. This is example. There's no difference between life satisfaction, the DV, okay, among the ethnicities. The ethnicities you write as, for example, you have the data about Malay, Chinese, Indians, and others. So this is the IV, right? Remember, you need to be able to identify which one is your DV, which one is your IV in the final exam, right? So the way I identify it, so you need to copy and how I identify the DV and IV. You're supposed to know and you're supposed to be able to differentiate which one is IV and DV based on your two classes. The first classes you have learned is research methodology class, and for this class is data analysis. Okay, so in the independent variables, you have the ethnicities, as I mentioned, which is you have 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, maybe 3 lah, 4 on the others. So one is Malay, the first group, the second group is Chinese, the third group is Indian, and the third group is others. So 4 ethnicities, 4 groups in this and ethnicities, and it is in nominal scale. Okay, so DV is the life satisfaction here. Okay, it is in the ratio scale because you have collected the data using the Likert scale, remember? Okay, so the statistical test you need to use is one-way ANOVA. We focus on the first one only, the one-way ANOVA. This one you read by yourself, independent learning, okay, as your activity. Now we focus on the one-way ANOVA for the next slides. This is the condition when you want to use one-way ANOVA. So what are the conditions is, first is measurement scale. Remember, the measurement scale for DV, it should be in interval or ratio scale. Okay, for IV, it should be in nominal. Okay, nominal, this one. This one is interval or ratio. Okay, nominal, and the nominal should have 3 or more categories. If you ask me, doctor, what if we have only 2 categories? You cannot use one-way ANOVA. Okay, you need to use independent sample t-test instead. Okay, because only 2 categories or 2 groups under your IV, right? So other than the first point, measurement scale, the second condition, you should focus on the population normality. Okay, whatever analysis that we have learned here should be normally distributed. Okay, and the third one is homogeneity of variance. Okay, so this one maybe out of 3 you should be able to identify only 2 conditions, okay, under this one-way ANOVA. All right. There are several conditions listed here. You can go through by yourself. Normality, I think you have heard this before, right? We have learned how to analyze the normality. Okay. Before we start with the analysis using one-way ANOVA, we take a look on the case sample, okay, or the example of case study. Now, we have the research questions here. Okay, research question. is the life satisfaction I have highlighted in a blue color. This is the DV of students significantly different based on 3 different ethnicities. Okay, so this is the IV. Okay, so remember, if we're talking about the question, should have the question mark. So this is how the format of research question if it is asked in final exam. Okay. Right. So the research objective, if you see the pattern of the way we write, okay, the research question, research hypothesis, research objective is quite similar, but the difference is the question marks and the way you uh, uh, represent the sentences. For example, remember, if I say research objective, so you should start with to and verbs. So what verb do you use? Determine, to analyze, to investigate. Okay. So for here, to determine the differences in DV, the life satisfaction among students based on the 3 different ethnicities, IV. So three, 3 different ethnicities. You no longer need to use what? Independent. You need to use one way ANOVA because 3 groups. Okay, so this is the clue. So from the research question and research objective, you have the hypothesis. Okay, so here I just did the null hypothesis. It's actually you have null hypothesis and alternative hypothesis. Okay, so I leave it up to you how to write the alternative hypothesis. Okay, for null hypothesis, remember there is no null hypothesis. There is no difference in life satisfaction among students for the 3 different ethnicities. So for the alternative, you just discard the words no lah. There is a difference, blah, blah, blah. Just copy paste the sentences here. All right. So this is the case example or the case study. So let's take a look on how to analyze or to run the SPSS. So let me show you on how to run the SPSS. I open the SPSS for you. So this data is actually not the stress data that we have used in our class previously. So this is the data, namely SPSS CFJ17 with the sample number 199. Okay, so you can use this data sample or SPSS database that I have uploaded in ITEL under the section of One Way ANOVA for today's class. Okay, so you have this data. What you need to do on to running the the One Way ANOVA is that you click on Analyze. Okay, remember this One Way ANOVA, we want to compare the means and proportion, isn't it? So go to means and proportion, and once you have put your scroll under the compare means and proportion, you could see there is the words of One Way ANOVA. Okay, choose this option, you click on it, and there will be a pop-out. Okay, there will be a pop-out. So this one is already here. So I just return back. Okay, for example, our DV just now is the life satisfaction. So in here, it is written in Malay. You just need to search the kepuasan hidup pre. Okay, so you put it here under dependent list. So it is the life satisfaction. How about the factor? Factor is your IV. Okay, you scroll up and then you could see what we need to find is the ethnicities. Remember? So you move to the factor. Okay, so what else that you need to do? On the right hand side here, you have several options. Okay, so the one that you need to click is the one that written with the word options. You click on it and there will be a pop-out. Okay, One Way ANOVA option. Okay, so you need to check or click on descriptive. Okay, homogeneity of variant test, check on it. And the last one, you check on the means plot. Okay, so there are 3. Okay, 3 things that you need to check on it. Again, I repeat, descriptive, homogeneity of variant test, and also the means plot. All right, and then you click continue. After you click continue, So you go back to the first pop out just now. On the bottom, you click OK. So wait for a while, there will be result. Okay, the output from this analysis. Now, I suppose that you could not observe on your screen because it's too small, too tiny. So I, in advance, already screenshot the output and I paste it on this PowerPoint. Right? So from this PowerPoint, I have enlarged a bit so that maybe you could observe. So from here, you have three tables that I want to show to you. So the first table here is the descriptive table that you could have the value for the mean and the standard deviation. If you need to have the mean for this is the IV, the ethnicities. Ethnicities. So you have the Malay, you have the Chinese, Bumiputra. Okay, so Malay, Chinese, and Bumiputra. So the mean is here. So Malay, okay, Malay, you have the mean of 23.52 with the standard deviation of, remember SD is the short form for the standard deviation, 3.53. And then you have what for the Chinese, the mean, the capital M is the mean, 21.72 with a standard deviation of 4.86. Okay, and last one, you have Bumiputra with the mean of 23.8 with the standard deviation of 4.89, for example. Okay, so this is the descriptive data for the ethnicities. Okay, there are three groups, right? Now, the second table, this is the first table, the second table, and the third table. All right. So the second table, you look at the significant value under the mean. Significant value under the mean. So the significant value shows here is 0.051. Okay. From here, what we need to do, I have stated in the notes as well. Okay. If it is if the significant value showing it is 0.051, which is P is more than 0.05, isn't it? Okay, so what will happen? You look at your notes. I have mentioned there. Okay, right here, I have mentioned here. If your p-value is more than 0.05, meaning that your data is normally distributed, okay, and you have achieved the homogeneity of variance. Okay, so these two, if you remember, this is the a part of the conditions to run the one-way ANOVA. So if you achieve these two, then you are allowed to run or use the analysis of one-way ANOVA. Okay, and then from here, we have the third table. Okay, from here we have the third table of ANOVA. Okay, look at the significant value here. The significant value here showing that the value is 0.012. Okay, so it is less than P is less than 0.05, isn't it? So if less than 0.05, what would happen? If less than 0.05, okay, I have stated also in the notes, no worries. For example, here, significant value 0.008, which is less than 0.05. Same goes to our data just now, right? So if less than 0.05, your null hypothesis is rejected. Remember, what is your null hypothesis? There is no significant difference, okay, between what? There is no this one. Your statement for the null hypothesis. There is no significant difference in life satisfaction among students for the three different ethnicities. Just now you have mentioned earlier, right? So from here, you said that your null hypothesis here is rejected. You reject this null hypothesis. If you reject this null hypothesis, meaning that there is a difference, right? There is a difference between life satisfaction and ethnicities. Okay, there is a difference. But where is the difference? Because it just stated between the groups. The groups we have Malay, Chinese, and Bumiputra. But which groups? Right? Which groups are different? Okay. So if in this case your null hypothesis is rejected, what you need to do is you need to go back to your data. Okay, go back to your data. For this output, I just close and don't need to save. I go back to my database. Again, I click on the analyze, go to the same thing, compare means and proportion, and one-way ANOVA. Okay, so this one, the one that you have put all the data just now about the life satisfaction and also the ethnicities. All right. So once you have decided that your null hypothesis is rejected, what you need to do? Okay, so this is the further analysis that you need to click on the post hoc. On the right hand side, you have several options, isn't it? So you click on the post hoc. So there will be a pop-out like this. Okay, so this pop-up, what you need to do, there is a lot of equals variance assume that has been listed here. The one that you need to click is you need to click on the two key, T-U-K-E-Y, the two key one. All right. So when you have clicked here, you click continue at the bottom. Okay. After you click continue, the second pop-out disappear already. So the first pop-up here, you just click OK at the bottom. Okay, so you would have like this. Okay, you would have like this. Now, okay, let's see. Now, if you realize the one at the bottom here, the descriptive table, the test of homogeneity of variance table, and also the ANOVA table, the one that you have analyzed and you have received the output earlier, right? Okay. So we will no longer look at this table, but you just scroll down until you search for a table that namely post hoc test. Okay, so for here, I will screenshot for you. Okay, I will see screenshot for you. And then I will copy and paste on this PowerPoint slide to make sure that you are able to observe in a larger scale. I make it larger. All right. Right. So now, where is the draw? Okay. Now you have this post hoc test. Okay, you have this post hoc test, and remember just now, if your significant value, where is the significant value? Oh, okay, at the bottom one. If your significant value, right, is less than 0.05, so meaning your null hypothesis is rejected, isn't it? Okay, rejected. And then you carry out the post hoc test and you have this output. So from this output, you go back to our notes. Okay. Let me show you. We go back to this notes. All right. Same goes to this output in my notes, isn't it? All right. You still remember just now, if your p-value less than 0.05, so your eyes need to observe from the significant here. Okay, so same goes to our data. We have the significant value here. Okay, you need to observe your eyes. Okay, here, right? So from here, please observe which value, okay, is less than 0.05. Which one? So this one, okay, 0.016, and then this one, 0.005. 0.016. Okay, and other than these two, they are more than 0.05, right? If more than 0.05, so meaning that it is not the same as your data just now from here, right? It's not the same. You should find the value that below 0.05, okay, to make sure that your null hypothesis is rejected. Remember your null hypothesis, there is no difference, right? It says that there is no difference, and then between life satisfaction and ethnicities, you reject the statement. So that's why you need to find the value, the significant value that less than 0.05. Now, you have found it, okay, 0.16, which is p-value less than 0.05, okay? So look at the ethnicities that involve, okay? The ethnicities involved is between Chinese and Bumiputra. Same goes to the bottom one, Bumiputra and Chinese. Okay, it's actually the same lah. Significant value is 0.016. Okay, so what is the things that we need to look at? Look at here, the mean difference. Okay, look at the mean difference, meaning to say these Chinese and Bumiputra ethnics, they are different. They have difference in their life satisfaction between one and another. Okay, but which one is higher than another one? Is it Chinese higher than the Bumiputra, or the Bumiputra higher than Chinese in terms of their life satisfaction? You don't know. So this table will help you to know that whether the Chinese have higher life satisfaction in terms of the mean or the Bumiputra one. Okay, so from here, you take a look on this one first. Chinese and Bumiputra. Okay, so the mean difference shows that Chinese have negative 2.16. Meaning what? Meaning Chinese, if negative, meaning lower. Negative meaning lower, lesser. Okay, so Chinese ethnicity have a lower life satisfaction than Bumiputra with a mean difference of 2.16. What about the bottom one? The bottom one saying that Bumiputra ethnicities have life satisfaction higher than the Chinese ethnicities with a mean difference of 2.16. Bumiputra higher because here is positive. Chinese lower because here have negative. That's all. Okay, easy. So this is the post hoc test table that you could see which ethnicities have the differences, okay, as it is stated from the ANOVA table previously. Okay, I repeat, the previous table, the ANOVA table here, it says there is a significant difference because you reject your null hypothesis, but it says only between the groups. But which groups? Is it Malay, Chinese, or Bumiputra? You don't know. So once you have conducted the post hoc test, you see that the groups that have differences are Chinese and Bumiputra ethnicities. Okay, so which one is higher than another one? You look at the mean difference here. The mean difference showing that Chinese, okay, Chinese ethnicities have lower life satisfaction because of negative sign here. Chinese ethnicities lower life satisfaction compared to Bumiputra with a mean difference of 2.16. Okay, Bumiputra have higher life satisfaction compared to Chinese ethnicities with the mean difference of 2.16. Okay, to settle for the post hoc test. Okay, so let's take a look back to the notes. Okay, you have all the interpretation. You have all the interpretation from the Way ANOVA. So you need to write the report. Remember, in your final exam, I will ask you to write the report as well, but not sure which analysis. So that's why you need to be able to write the report for all analysis. Okay, it's actually quite similar, which you need to look at the style of writing. Okay, so for Way ANOVA, If you write one-way ANOVA, I accept. Okay, one-way ANOVA was conducted. So I know that the analysis used is one-way ANOVA. Okay, one-way ANOVA was conducted to determine what? So this is the research objective, to determine the difference in life satisfaction based on the three ethnicities. This is the research objective, RO. Okay, so what are the result? The life satisfaction for the descriptive result. Okay, the life satisfaction of Chinese ethnicities is, okay, how much? Based on your table just now. If you have for this one, the stated one just Chinese and Bumiputra. You also have Malay, isn't it? So the one that already have a differences, the differences between life satisfaction between the Chinese and Bumiputra only. Okay, Malay don't have anything related with the differences. So that's why we just take Chinese and Bumiputra ethnicities. So the Chinese ethnic got mean different mean which 22.06. I think yours is different, right? Just now, right? So the data here is based on my data in the notes. So write your mean value and your standard deviation value. Bumiputra, your mean value and also your standard deviation. This is just the descriptive. Okay, descriptive result. Okay, you could have this from the table, the very first table just now, right? And then the living stars, this one from the second table. Second table that you want to see the homogeneity of variance is assumed. Okay, so this one is the second table. I show you the second table just now. Where is the second table? Okay, this one, the second table. Okay, second table with the significant value 0.051. Okay, so it is less than 0.05. So that's why mana sudah? Based on the findings, ANOVA, it is found that life satisfaction among three different ethnicities is significantly different. Significantly different. Why? Because you said that your p-value is less than 0.05. So you reject your null hypothesis is rejected. You reject your null hypothesis. That's why you said there is a significant difference between the life satisfaction among the three different ethnicities. Okay, so this is the format on how you write F in a bracket of 2, 198. Okay, look at your result. We go to your result. Okay, here. Just now F2, 2 is the degree of freedom. Okay, 2, let me put it this way. 2, the degree of freedom, and 198. 198, but yours here, 198. The total, okay, 198, and then is equals to 5.01. Okay, 5.01, where does it comes from? 5.01 comes from here. Okay, comes from here. So equals to 4.55. Okay, and then 5.01 is based on my result in this notes. So it differs from you. So P is less than 0.05. P is less than 0.05 is actually look at from here, significant value. Okay, I use this one lah. Okay, significant value 0.12. Okay, so you write here P less than 0.005 because your significant is 0.012. Okay? All right. And then, so because of you have stated that your P is less than 0.05, your null hypothesis is rejected. Okay? Remember, you need to state whether your null hypothesis is failed to be rejected or rejected. So your null hypothesis is rejected. So this we will have the marks as well. Maybe 1 or 2 marks here. Okay, for the statement of null hypothesis rejected, also the statement of the template, the data for ANOVA table. We have the marks there. Significant difference, we have the marks here. The mean and the standard deviation for both, we have the marks as well. Okay, homogeneity variances, assume, also we have marks there. Okay, so this is on how you write the report for one-way ANOVA. So the next one is one-way repeated measures. For here, I leave it to you as the activity. Okay, so read by your own and try to run the analysis for one-way repeated measures ANOVA. All the data already given in the SPSS database. Okay, you just need to download and analyze, run the SPSS. All right, same goes to one-way ANOVA. Other than the life satisfaction, maybe you want to proceed with uh, there is a data stated as life happiness. Maybe you want to substitute the DV life happiness, life satisfaction with the life happiness. It's up to you. Okay, maybe you want to have a extra exercise for that for one-way ANOVA. So I leave it to you. Right? So please read by your own. Okay, get your own time and read this one-way repeated measures ANOVA. And I will ask you next class, okay, on how you got your result for one-way repeated measure ANOVA. All right. So I think that's all for today. All right. So make sure you have fill in the attendance form. Okay. Don't forget at 10 o'clock it will be expired. All right. So that's all. Thank you so much.